Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm raising an issue today in our adjournment proceedings that I originally raised on November 17th during question period. As an MP, I often reflect on what it means to serve this country. Base Gagetown is located in my riding of Fredericton, and it is with a great sense of pride that I represent so many people who are also serving this country as current and former members of the Canadian Armed Forces. There is a distinct moral, social, legal, and fiduciary covenant between Canada and the active and retired members of the Canadian Armed Forces. I am here this evening because I'm convinced that our government is not upholding its obligations to those who have sacrificed themselves, their health, and their well-being. I want to draw the Parliamentary Secretary's attention to a group of brave, driven, and hardworking citizens in my riding who call themselves brats in the battlefield. They are veterans, children of veterans, and private citizens who live in close proximity to our base. They are also victims of the application of pesticides and herbicides in accumulation at Base Gagetown over decades, and they are seeking answers. These individuals have lost too many of their loved ones already. Many are fighting a new battle of health as they confront cancers and other diagnoses that can be linked to chemical exposure. They deserve justice. An independent public inquiry to address exactly what was used and in what quantities would help to uncover the answers these people have been seeking. The government confirmed in a response to their petition that all federal and provincial regulations were followed at the time, other than in a few specific cases. But this is not good enough. In fact, it's outrageous. Policies have evolved over time because we know more about these products than we once did. We need to apply current scientific knowledge to decisions that were made over the last 70 years so that citizens can know with certainty what they were exposed to and what ongoing risks to their health they face. If the government wants to take seriously its role and responsibility, it would convene a fully independent public inquiry that will make recommendations in relation to the application of pesticides at CFB Gagetown and its surrounding communities from the 1950s to the present day, well beyond the 2-year window that was previously studied. A fact-finding project was at one time convened, followed by a health risk assessment conducted by the chemical industry itself. It should come as no surprise that those affected find little solace in these reports. Furthermore, the Public Inquiries Act clearly states that an independent commissioner must be appointed, and that was never done. The mandate of Veterans Affairs Canada is to support the well-being of veterans and their families. This is an obvious component of that mandate. Members of this brave group not only feel let down, they feel walked on, they feel locked out of the democratic process. Having been born and raised in Ormukto myself, I know that the base is part of our identity, the heart of our community's economy. Those who have served there and their families deserve justice. I'm calling on this government to do the right thing and take a long, hard look at what happened at Base Gagetown, at our ongoing use of herbicides and pesticides, and what risks we are willing to take when it comes to human health. Madam Speaker, I can only pray that these Canadians will still be alive long enough to receive the acknowledgement they deserve and to find peace in the hope that it will never happen again. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Veterans. Veterans.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Je veux certainement remercier ma collègue, la députée de Fredericton, pour son intervention et le travail qu'elle fait pour représenter les vétérans. Si la saison de souvenirs 2020 a été très différente de ce à quoi nous sommes habitués en raison de la pandémie, elle ne nous a pas empêchés de prendre un moment pour nous souvenir de nos soldats tombés en combat et de tous ceux qui ont bravement porté un uniforme pour défendre la paix et la liberté que tant de Canadiens ont contribué à protéger il y a toutes ces années. We are particularly thankful for the Royal Canadian Legion for the ceremony it led at the National War Museum and to Canadians for heeding advice to stay home during this difficult time and to celebrate online Remembrance Day. While events around the country were naturally scaled way back, I hope our veterans still felt that the enormous appreciation that we have for them, even if it had to be conveyed differently this past year. November is a time to reflect, but by no means does our acknowledgement of Canada's veterans limit itself to just a few weeks a year. Nous travaillons toute l'année pour nous assurer que nos vétérans reçoivent le soutien auprès des services militaires et puissent obtenir l'aide dont ils ont besoin. Comme nous le savons tous, 2020 a été difficile, particulièrement pour les communautés des vétérans et les organismes vers lesquels il a tendance à se tourner pour obtenir de l'aide et bien sûr, de l'aide et puis des conseils. Pour aider le gouvernement, on a mis en place un fonds d'urgence de 20 millions de dollars pour les organismes de soutien aux vétérans juste avant le jour de souvenir. Des groupes comme la Légion, Anavets, Vets Canada, True Patriot Love et d'autres ont dû faire face à des déficits considérables en raison de la pandémie. While Legions and Anavet branches have been able to apply for funding through the Dominion Command, other organizations apply for funding through the Veteran Affairs website at veterans.gc.ca. Through the support fund, we've made money available to organizations so that they could continue to operate to provide veterans and their families with the essential services that they count on. Madame la Présidente, en ce qui concerne la remarque de la députée face à l'itinérance, permettez-moi de vous dire, un vétéran sans abri est un de trop. Les vétérans, comme tous les autres Canadiens et Canadiennes, méritent d'avoir un chez-soi sûr et abordable. Lorsqu'un ancien combattant canadien apprend qu'un vétéran est sans abri, le ministère agit immédiatement pour lui fournir le soutien dont il a besoin et travaille avec ses partenaires pour l'aider à trouver un logement convenable. Il existe également un fonds d'urgence pour les vétérans qui aide les vétérans et leurs familles à acheter de la nourriture, de trouver un logement et se tenir en sécurité lorsqu'ils font face à des urgences financières qui mettent their bien-être en péril. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it goes without saying that the number of veterans waiting on claims is simply too high, but I want the member opposite and everyone in the House and all Canadians to know that our government is doing everything possible to bring these numbers down and accelerate decision-making. The strategy we introduced last June to reduce wait time included $192 million funding commitment to keep the 168 decision-making makers hired through budget to 2018 and to hire another 350 employees dedicated to reducing the wait time. On s'attend à ce que ces nouvelles embauches aient un impact significatif.
La députée de Fredericton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And remembering the sacrifices of veterans is one thing. Responding to their current urgent needs is another. And if I may, here's a list of presumptive diseases associated with Agent Orange exposure, some of which Canadian veterans and their families are grappling with. Chronic lymphomatic leukemia, soft tissue sarcoma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Hodgkin's disease, chloracne, respiratory cancer, prostate cancer, multiple myeloma, early onset transient peripheral neuropathy, porphyria cutanea tarda, type 2 diabetes, spina bifida, and offspring of exposed individuals. Madam Speaker, Agent White and Agent Purple were also sprayed in my community, along with glyphosate and DDT. Citizens were told these chemicals were just about safe enough to drink. Workers cleared fallen brush with their bare hands, fresh after a spray, while the children played in smoke clouds behind the application trucks. The contracted companies wanted to save a few bucks, cutting corners and increasing chemical concentrations. Now it is these citizens that are paying the price. Will this government do what is right? Will they uphold the duty of care for veterans and their families? Will they undertake
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, le gouvernement du Canada s'efforcera toujours d'appuyer les braves gens qui ont porté un uniforme militaire canadien. The country we have today was built on the backs of those who chose to put the well-being of their fellow citizens ahead of their own by willingly assuming the risks that are inherent to military life. Nous leur devons tant. Puissions-nous ne jamais oublier ce que nos vétérans et militaires tombés au combat ont fait pour nous et, en retour, être toujours là pour les soutenir dans la vie après leur service. Merci.